Hello.
Good morning, good morning. This is Kellen. You are being recorded. You're not live, but it's about to get live. I have one of my favorite Jacksons on the phone to tell us about her new book. Please, Mrs. Jackson, tell the audience all about yourself and this new book that you have going on.
Okay, thank you, Kellen. My name is Ivo Jackson. Professionally, I go by IC Jackson. The name of my book is Good Love, Bad Love, Moving from Self-Doubt to Self-Worth in 30 Days. A little bit about me. I am a Christian minister. I am also a web and graphic designer. My background is in marketing. And I talk to people about how to love themselves and even identify who they are so they can stop selling themselves and loving themselves based on what they do and instead begin to value themselves based on who they are and then move forward to valuing other people for who they are and not just what they do, because we end up engaging in toxic relationships with ourselves and other people when the basis for our love or appreciation or value of people lies in what we do or how we perform instead of our identity as who we are.
Okay. And what inspired you to create a book like this?
Well, I've been giving this kind of advice in ministry and personally for years, and people have always said, God, you should write a book about this. And in December of last year, the idea for a 30-day devotional came to me, and I knew that that was the model that I needed for the book, because the process of learning how to love yourself or even identify who you are, because it's hard to love yourself when you don't know who you are, it's something that you have to practice. So if you read a book one time that was in an instructional format, it would be great, but it wouldn't reinforce the ideas daily that you need to constantly renew your mind on in order for it to stick and for you to grow.
Okay, and loving yourself, it's such a important thing, because many times people grow up and they want to find love, and they're sometimes validated by love. What did you find, prepping for this book, that are barriers for people to love themselves?
Yeah. The primary barrier for loving yourself that I found through my personal research and experience is our upbringing, the way we're raised as small children. We tend to learn proper behavior through a reward system. If you wipe your face, you get the cookie. If you say please, I give you the donut. If you behave a certain way, you get rewarded for it, which is fine when you're teaching small children how to control their behavior. But as you get older, when the people who are supposed to love you for who you are continue to withhold things that are a reward for your mind or for your emotions, like affection or love or stuff that you're supposed to get for who you are and not your performance, when they withhold it until you perform in a way that's satisfactory to them, it teaches you that the foundations of love are performance-based. So you have to act a certain way, be a certain way, meet certain expectations before you can then receive what you need. And as we get older and we engage with other people who have been brought up in that same kind of model, we begin to dole out affections, resources, and other things that people need in a relationship with us based on how they please us with their performance. And if their performance is not up to our standard, or if they don't do what we want them to do, when we want them to do it, the way we want them to do it, we've been taught to withhold what they want from us until they change. And it's not fair, and it's not healthy love. It's very toxic.
Wow, that sounds, when you were describing that, I pictured two things. One, dogs, and how people who are dog lovers who give, treats to dogs. And if you don't do the trick, you don't get the treat. And then it sparked a new Netflix series that I just saw. It's new to me. It's called Black Mirror, where everybody gets stars based on, how much people like them, and it's a real life thing. And that's crazy because who wants to live in a world like that? But that's kind of what
That's
life.
the world we live in. And it's not bad when we're talking about a market economy or free market economy. We have the right and even the personal responsibility as consumers to support what works, to judge based on performance. If a Kirby vacuum is awesome, I will continue to buy Kirby vacuums. If they suck, I stop. Because in a free market economy and in the United States and the Western world in general, everything is a meritocracy. You are judged on your performance all the time. On your job, as a salesperson, products, we judge everything based on their merit and their performance, which is fine when you're not talking about intimate relationships. But then when we begin to judge each other based on our performance and how much we're willing to love each other as human beings based on our performance, we've taken that meritocracy idea too far. And we're trying to engage in healthy relationships in an unhealthy way because our validation is not supposed to come from outside of ourselves based on how we perform. It's supposed to be able to start from within ourselves based on who we are. And we learn that from the people who are supposed to love us for who we are before we even know who we are. So our parents, our teachers, those who are responsible for our development, they teach us how to see ourselves and judge ourselves and therefore love ourselves and others. And so when they are coming from a broken model and just doing what they were taught and teaching the next generation who teaches the next generation, we end up with generations of people who don't know how to love and who abandon each other or abuse each other when they don't appreciate people's performance or behavior. And we never learn to appreciate each other for who we really are.
And so, ministry is your thing. I want to ask for the person who's listening and say, well, they've backslidden or maybe they're not even a Christian. Can this book, will they be able to relate? Or is it,
Absolutely. I deliberately wrote the book in such a way where it's based on Christian principles and biblical ideas, but also based on science, and it is not explicitly religious. So if in general you agree with Judeo-Christian ethics, you can get a lot out of this book, even if you're not a practicing Christian. If you are a practicing Christian or you desire to be, this book will help you as you build your faith. But it's not necessary or explicitly designed for building faith.
Okay. And give some more of your background. I know you said what you do with the marketing and the web design, but give some of your more family background, because I can already hear the haters say, and who is this telling me how to love myself? Mad because you're telling someone how to love. So talk more about, your personal life, if you would.
Okay. In my personal life, I experienced a lot of rejection as a child. As a young person, and I was always focused on my need for love. I learned very early in life that many of my teachers simply had not received healthy love for themselves. So I learned as a young person how to forgive people for not giving me what I needed because they didn't have what they needed. But then the quest to get what I need for myself became a lifelong journey because in certain areas I had to parent myself. No disrespect to my parents, but they were only working with what they knew, as most of our parents are. And when we become mature, we realize that our parents are broken people too, and we learn to have compassion on them for what they weren't able to provide. And if we're responsible and healthy and in a good place, we begin to seek out how to find those things for ourselves. So looking to science, to God, to research in general, the journey toward finding what real love is and then how to love myself has kind of been my obsession for the last 25 years.
Okay. And in those 25 years, you're married, you have 5 wonderful children. Talk about that part of it, because that's the part folks will say, well, she, I got children over here, and she won't understand that. And if they don't go to icjackson.com before hearing this or after, talk about how that self love, how it's impacted your family.
Okay. And how my family has impacted my self-love. When you first asked the question about my children, the first thing I thought about was my daughter, who has passed on and gone on to be with the Lord. She had very special needs, a fatal prognosis of thanatophoric dysplasia. It's a skeletal dysplasia and a form of dwarfism, an extreme form of dwarfism, where the limbs and the rib cage do not grow to capacity. So when a baby has TD, their arms and legs are very short and their rib cage is very small, preventing their lungs from fully developing, which impedes their ability to breathe. So my last two children was a set of twins. I had two sets of twins. The last set of twins, one of these babies had this genetic mutation and a death sentence before she was even born. And my son, who's still here with us, he's healthy, he's fine. He was developing at a normal, regular rate. And so from the very beginning, like when I was 19 weeks pregnant, I find out that she has this genetic deformity. And from that point on, we were discouraged from getting attached because she wasn't supposed to be born alive. Most babies with thanatophoric dysplasia perish in the womb. Majority of those who are born alive perish within the first 2 weeks of life. So we were constantly discouraged from getting attached, even advised to abort her because it would not have negatively affected her brother. And I had to learn on the spot, if I had never known before, how to love someone for who they are and not for what they do. We tend to attach certain goals to our children and achievements and things that we want them to do as they get older. We hope to see them get married, go to college, have successful careers and things like that. And part of our love for them is in our investment in those future goals and objectives. Well, this baby didn't have any of those, but she still needed to be loved, and she deserved just as much love as her brother, who I fully expected, God willing, to grow up and have a wife and give me some grandkids one day and all that cool stuff that parents look forward to when they have children. This baby just couldn't do it. Her life was so fragile. We didn't know what her status was going to be from day to day. But she needed even more love because she was so fragile. And so the idea of how to love someone truly for who they are, particularly when they can do nothing for you, became very real for me at that point. I became a better human being. She lived for 8 months. Those were some of the best times of my life and the hardest times of my life. But I learned who I was, and I learned what love really was. And as a result of being her mother, I love my children who remain even more. I'm more careful to be aware of who they are and not just how they're performing, because they need my love regardless of their behavior or their ability to maximize their potential. They're human beings. They're connected to me. And as such, I owe them identity-based love and not performance-based love. So it's just helped me love everybody more compassionately and more like Christ.
Wow, yeah, that's real love, and and when I'm thinking about your title, the self-doubt to self-worth, I'm sure there was some doubt in there. What should we do? And
Yes.
And so no, that's deep, and I'm trying to think for the person who's listening and they're saying, okay, I'm going to the website and you say self-doubt to self-worth in 30 days.
Yes.
Talk about why you picked 30 days.
Okay. As Christian devotionals go, they tend to work in monthly cycles. And they're designed to be reread over and over and over again. So 30 days gave me a platform to discuss performance-based love for 15 days and identity-based love for 15 days in a format that you can keep reading. Because, and let me backtrack a little bit, knowing how to love others, or how you love others, how you're not loving others maybe, then gives you a framework to examine how you're loving yourself. When we learn performance-based love of others, we then apply that performance-based love to ourselves. So the first part of the book identifies some of the problems in the way that we're taught to love, also identifies godly love, and even what science says about love, because the Bible and science, as usual, agree in this matter. And so then we can begin to apply these ideas to how we treat ourselves. Because if we're treating other people poorly, we can guarantee we're treating ourselves poorly as well. It's the only way we know how to love. And loving yourself is even more difficult than loving other people. And the interesting thing is, for Christians and those who agree with Christian ethics, God judges us based on how we love our neighbor. We know that the greatest two commandments are to love the Lord our God with all our heart, soul, mind, and strength, and to love our neighbor as ourselves. Well, if you don't love yourself, you can't love your neighbor. And God judges you based on how you love your neighbor. So then it becomes a priority to learn how to love yourself. Because according to God, you can't love him properly if you don't love others properly, and you can't love others properly until you love yourself properly. So the book starts from the outside and moves inward so that we can love from the inside and move outward.
Awesome. And when they buy the book, it's open for pre-order, but when will the book be released?
The book will be officially released on April 1st, but the ebook will be released on March 25th. So everyone who purchases the book will get a digital copy. Even if you buy the paperback, you get an ebook for free. Same thing. March 25th, everybody gets the ebook, and then shipping of the paperback begins on April 1st.
Okay, and I would suggest everybody you go get that ebook first, because I have a feeling Mrs. Jackson has a joke on April 1st. She may say, the first part of self-love is knowing how to take a joke. And so, yeah, April Fools. But you can go buy the book right now at icjackson.com on the pre-order and get those pre-orders up. And she's not just leaving you with a book, because when you do go to icjackson.com, you can also sign up for the Self-Love Nation. Can you talk about the Self-Love Nation and what they can expect from signing up on that?
Yes, the Self-Love Nation is our tribe. Those people who get to the website, they read the book or the blog or watch the videos and realize this is for me, and then begin to understand that they're needing coaching. You're going to need support. It's a daily devotional, because you don't just expose yourself to these ideas one time and say, oh, I'm great. I love myself. I love other people. Let's do it. You have to retrain yourself. You have to unlearn the toxic negative model over time. And so there are 30 days worth of ideas and tips and tools in the book, but it's a lifestyle. And you're going to need support from other people who have the same focus and the same ideas. And so the Self-Love Nation is our tribe. We're building the community now, where people can receive, both on the website and on the email list, resources for self-love, loving others, articles, videos from people other than myself that help to reinforce the ideas, and then even opening the stage for questions to be answered on the air by myself, interaction between members of the tribe and even with me. So sometimes if you just want to reach out and say, look, this is what I'm going through. I love the book. I love what you're talking about. How would you apply what you're saying to this? Members of the Self-Love Nation will have that kind of access.
Wow.
So it's designed to keep it going and hopefully to inspire a generation to teach the next generation how to love themselves and others in a more healthy way.
And you're giving a lot with that, explaining that. So for those who say, well, then how much does that cost? Because this is America and nothing is free. How much is that Self-Love Nation membership?
Self-Love Nation is free.
Free love.
Free. Yes.
You guys better jump on free love while you can get it in a community, because that's rare in a time where, you know, everyone's trying to cash in on, especially when people know they need something and people need love, and it's, well, we can sell it to you.
Exactly. But if I'm selling it to you, it's not real love. I can sell you tools because the Bible says a laborer is worthy of his hire. If I'm giving you, 25 years worth of research and insight, then I should be compensated fairly for that. But just loving you, sharing a good thing, keeping you motivated, well, that's what love does. So can't charge for that. It's just where we love. And if you want more tools so that you can teach yourself and teach others how to enter into that positive space, well, then that's where we offer things that you can pay for.
Okay. And let the people know the best way to contact you and the different platforms of where they can go get the book. Because some folks, everybody is so different. Just let them know all the information before we wrap up.
Okay. Right now, the book is on pre-sale at icjackson.com. You can always contact me, get more information on the book, Self-Love Nation, and what we're doing currently at icjackson.com. After the official release, the book will be available on Amazon, Barnes & Noble, and all your favorite outlets. But all you have to remember is icjackson.com. That's the launch pad. Everything else can be accessed from there.
All right. Well, you guys remember icjackson.com. Of course, there will be a link in the description box, and there'll also be, some more treats and more to come from this author, because I'm sure this is not going to be the last book that we see from Mrs. Jackson. We thank you for taking this time, and we pray and hope in Jesus' name that this, book rises to the top sales, and it reaches the people, more importantly, that need to be reached. Because we can understand that there is a need in times like this. So thank you very much for taking the time to speak with me.
Thank you for having me on the show, Kellen.
Yep, anytime. Be blessed.
You too.